P. Diddy, Puff Daddy, Sean Combs, exonerated, pretty much, kinda, off the hook on the most important and serious charges, right? That would have put him away for life. The racketeering, the trafficking, no. Hiring a prostitute? Yeah, looks like he did that. But in a weird way, so what? All right? This never should have been a federal case. It's the strangest thing. And it's not that I like P. Diddy or don't like P. Diddy. I know one of his songs. Remember the one in the 90s? He took it from the Police, right? Every Breath You Take, and then he voiced over it or something like that. That's all I know from Diddy. But after what President Trump went through, I'm skeptical, suspicious of authority. I am, and that's okay. This indictment was brought when Joe Biden was president. Remember that, okay? Now, Diddy, he's got problems, right? You saw him chase that girl down the hall. It was terrible. Here he comes in his towel, and he's about to beat her up. Yikes. That's awful. Tough to watch. We don't want to see anybody treated like that, and he's not finished. He kicks her. We took out the real bad parts. The thing is, drags her back to the room. This happened in 2016, something like that, 9 years ago. That's against the law, what we just saw. They should have charged him with it, but they didn't. They came up with this bizarre, kind of mostly unrelated thing, and they programmed, I think, the country to be horrified, right? This is bad, but it's not sex trafficking. The cue was there, right? You got to be horrified by all this stuff.
Tonight, Sean Diddy Combs behind bars facing federal charges of sex trafficking and racketeering.
We begin tonight with Sean Diddy Combs arrested here in New York City, pleading not guilty late today to a sweeping federal indictment here in New York, facing multiple federal charges.
Sean Diddy Combs is under arrest, now facing federal charges following a sealed indictment by the U.S. Attorney in New York.
It's so intense, right? He's got to be guilty of something. I mean, the music and the animation and Lester Holt. And so, P. Diddy. They put him out there, right? Now, what else about P. Diddy? The words started to come out, right? From the prosecutors and the rest, the freak off and the baby oil and the sex toys and the male prostitutes and the video cameras and the nonstop sex, right? So they got people interested, right? And everybody is supposed to say that stuff is awful. And, yeah, prostitution's not, I mean, just, you know how you're supposed to react. The closet. We were supposed to be horrified by P. Diddy's closet. I looked inside. We're snooping around somebody's closet, okay? All right. What's in there? Clothes, a stereo system. The guy didn't invent the sex toy, all right? But they're in there. Are we supposed to all be? I see there's baby oil. How many baby oil bottles are you allowed to have without being suspected of something? We've all been lied to before, and I was deeply suspicious of this and the way the media and all of it just came together and people doing what they're kind of told to do or what they think they have to do.
Then I read the indictment. And the level of depravity that's just alleged there, that's described there, it's certainly nothing I've ever seen.
All right, well, I read the indictment too. And I noticed how thin it was. I noticed how vague it was. And I noticed how weird it was. And it starts right off the bat. Now, look, there are things here that are definitely not nice, and yeah, you could say criminal, the prostitution, but look at how they started this thing, right? The first line, go ahead and put it up if you don't mind. The defendant engaged in a persistent and pervasive pattern of abuse toward women and other individuals. I don't like abuse, but let's get specific here. What kind of abuse? This abuse was at times verbal, emotional, physical, and sexual. There's something that tripped me off about this sentence. It seems terrible, and obviously sexual and physical abuse is terrible. But they put that after the verbal and emotional abuse. You got to start with the most serious stuff. And they didn't do it here. And what they had a problem proving during this trial is that anybody was forced to do any of these things. So I've been saying this for a while. Not, again, I don't care. P. Diddy, whatever, comes and goes. He's in the news. But the indictment just struck me as weird. And it was a pain in the neck, but I said it out loud a couple of times. People are looking at me like I'm insane, but I actually sat down and read the indictment of P. Diddy. And, he's not a nice guy, it looks like, but they're making a federal case out of not that much. I understand the guy threw orgies. I understand he used a lot of drugs. I understand all that stuff. But the very first thing they allege is that he beat up his girlfriend in 2008. I mean, all right, they should have charged him with assault back then. They should have charged him with assault back then. Who covered up that tape? What about the hotel? They sent in Homeland Security for a guy, P. Diddy, that the country has been familiar with for a long time. I'm sorry, but this is over the top. It's something else that made me and some other people suspicious. Homeland Security, they weren't going after Osama bin Laden. This is P. Diddy, for crying out loud. And I'm suspicious of the government, and you should be too, after what they did to President Trump, right? If you listen to all the news, right, they said the same thing. Oh, it looks terrible. He must be guilty. He must be guilty. If you actually, just like with Diddy, went through the thing, you would be perplexed.
Today, an indictment was unsealed, charging Donald J. Trump with felony violations of our national security laws, as well as participating in a conspiracy to obstruct justice. This indictment was voted by a grand jury of citizens in the Southern District of Florida, and I invite everyone to read it in full to understand the scope and the gravity of the crimes charged.
See, they know that literally no one will actually do that. Nobody even in the media will do that. It's too much trouble, too much legal jargon. So they'll kind of do what they think they're supposed to do. React to his tone, his tenor, whether it's this guy, whether it's the DOJ when they went after Diddy. I can't condone all this stuff that Diddy did, right? I mean, it's not up to me to condone or not condone. It's his business. So much of this stuff was consensual and in private. Hey, by the way, as we go back to Diddy, I'm sorry, there's one more thing that he said that I thought was interesting. Jack Smith, when he was going after President Trump.
Adherence to the rule of law is a bedrock principle of the Department of Justice, and our nation's commitment to the rule of law sets an example for the world. We have one set of laws in this country, and they apply to everyone.
Who's going to buy that anymore, right? They play games with this system. If they did it to President Trump, they could do it to the man on the street, and they could do it to P. Diddy. Were they going after P. Diddy to give him some sort of cover? You see, we're not just after President Trump. It's possible. So he's convicted of prostitution. Again, what do they say? The world's oldest profession. I think, quite frankly, it's harmful and should be on the books as a crime. It's harmful for the prostitutes. It's harmful for everybody involved, probably. But where are we right now regarding prostitution, what they actually convicted Diddy of today? We're on the verge of legalizing it. Take a look.
The ramifications of victory here is the difference between life and death for so many of our brothers, sisters, and family beyond the binary across this borough of Queens. It's the difference between having cash bail anymore or not. It's the difference between having sex work be decriminalized and not. And with every battle that we fight as socialists, we need to remember what the stakes are.
So it's a life or death thing for Zoran Mandami, who a lot of people think is going to be the next mayor of the city of New York. We're going to do everything. I'm going to do everything I can to stop that, to prevent that. His life or death issue, sex work, should be legalized, all right? And they go after Diddy. Diddy's in jail tonight for prostitution. I don't know if that's going to stand. Do you? Overall, though, I think the country, the culture should take a big step back from entertainers. There was a time in this country where we had a healthy relationship with artists, music, right? That's the Eagles circa 1975. A bunch of guys with guitars, and they were basically an occasional amusement. Today, pop stars, influencers, it's like a religion, for crying out loud. That's Taylor Swift. It literally, the worship of celebrities has taken over the souls of so many of our fellow Americans. And that's crazy. So, all right, P. Diddy, what's the story? I don't think he's going to get any jail time at all. Maybe 5 years suspended sentence. And he probably doesn't deserve it. There's the hype. There's the over-prosecution, the overstatement. We've seen it before. And then there's the reality, the documents, and what the jury came up with. Not everything in this thing is pretty, but it just rubbed me the wrong way. What can I tell you?
He loves the Constitution. He fights for what's right. He hates the bad guys. He's a freedom warrior. He's your freedom warrior. Watch Carl Higbie every weekday on Newsmax.